Alright guys, oh yeah, we're back again. I'm going to show you some spear guns now. I think we did the last one with the spearfishing knives, and then so right now we're going to long-awaited CO2 spear guns. I'm going to show you the two examples of both of them, the two major types of CO2 spear guns ever made. But basically the mechanisms that hold back the pressure and how they work. And they're also both going to be on eBay, so I think one of them, the auction's ending pretty soon, and then the other one I'm probably going to throw on as soon as I get done editing this video or whatever. So without further ado, we got the first one. Let's get it camera. This is what it looks like. This one is called the Crossman Rocket CO2 Speargun, and what happens is it takes these right here. These are called 12-gram cartridges. They're unthreaded, right? They're just smooth right here. There's no threads or nothing. And what you would do is you have this mechanism right here. I'll show you how this thing works. Take your cartridge, you slap her in there, and you hold this end. Take this little crank. You just crank it down, right? Now she's in there. Okay, but this thing is back. It's not wound in. You kind of wind it back a little bit. Not all the way out, just a little bit. And then what you'll do is you'll take your shaft, right? I'll show you what the shaft looks like. This shaft I do not believe to be original to the spear gun because it has a slip tip on it. The other one did not have, I think the slip tip was different. They got, this looks like more of a higher end slip tip than I think on the original one was. Someone upgraded it. It probably kills the value, whatever, I don't know. But this thing goes in here. I don't know if you heard it, but it clicked, and it's not coming back out. So yeah, and that would be it. And then you would, I'm gonna take out the cartridge now just for safety. So we'll take out the cartridge for safety. Cartridge, it's on the table. Okay. Then what you do is you would just screw this in, and you hear the cartridge crack. It would fill up full of gas. Then you would back it off. I don't know, a turn, something like that, a little bit. Now the gas was going to be caught up in here, right? So with this type of spear gun, the Crossman Rocket, the cartridge, it would be inside obviously, but it's been punctured, right? Before you take the shot, and then you got the little safety. That's the only other basically control to this thing. You got the safety right here, right? It's on or off. You know, you probably, I guess at this point you would maybe turn it off. You would dive down. I'm not going to point this at you guys, but then you would dive down. You get your fish, right? When your fish is in line, let it go, let the trigger go. The shaft, boom, comes flying out, and you are going to eat fish for dinner tonight, right? Or whatever night you shoot it with. So that's how that one works, and that's the Crossman Rocket. And then this one, this is this model. Alright, cheers to your health, guys. It's water. Okay, that's better. Much better. Okay, this basically uses the same mechanism that the Barricudda speargun used. Again, this is a modern, this is called a prototype, something like that. And it's based on the Barricudda style, which is just the other style, right? There's been lots of other spear guns that used. So there's been a lot of particular, right? Thread it in, and now it's loaded. That's it, right? And to unload it, this is all you do. Which I believe this to be the safest spear gun ever made. I really do like these. And then the shaft it uses is just basically the same type of shaft that a pneumatic would use. It's got just the threads on the two ends, right? And then you would put a line slide. I don't actually have one right now. I do, but I don't know where it's at. So on one end, you're just gonna put your whatever type of tip you use. Could be one of these ones. This one I've actually I don't really use these very often to fish with, to be honest. This type of tip I would use one of these. These are the Old Faithfuls that I'm used to. And then it's got, on the other side, it's got, I think there's a bag of 3 of these. for this one, just for this one. And it's got basically just a piece of stainless steel. Get this in focus, stainless steel, with just a little O-ring on it, right? It's not a drama. What you would do, this is if you're gonna load it for real, right? We showed you how it was loaded, but this is if you're gonna actually load it. You would take this, you take your, and you would just force this in there. It's gonna be tight because the O-ring is not lubricated. It's gonna be super tight, so. There it goes. You can hear it just, the O-ring's not lubricated, so you can kind of hear it scratching. There it goes. It's all the way in. Alright. Then, what you would do, now you take your cartridge, right? Thread it in, thread it in, thread it in. This thing is much easier to load when the O-ring is lubricated. So just so you guys know, you don't try to Hercules this thing down. You know, like, yeah, it's just, I mean, very loose, right? I'm not putting any pressure on it. I'm gonna take it out now though, so because I'll show you the next part. You would obviously leave this in if you're gonna fire it. Now what you do is you take two fingers, right? You're holding the cartridge. You hold it basically like this. I'll get it on this side. You would be holding the cartridge like this, right? You have your hand on here like this. Two fingers, right? That's all it would take. It's not gonna take a lot of pressure. You do that, she's going flying. It's got the line release. I'll show you guys how that works. You would have a bungee, right? You have a bungee coming off here. You'd have it wrapped around. You have the thing, the line basically coming around here, and then you'd have your line release right here, right? Yeah, it's super self-explanatory. But then to fire it, what you do is you hold it, right? Your traditional type of, like you'd hold a band gun or anything else, just like this. You'll crack it with these two fingers, immediately let it go. And this thing is gonna go like absolutely crazy. So the difference between band guns and say your traditional rubber gun is actually out of the water. This is what I always tell you, especially if it's a band gun, never ever ever fire into the water. The reason why, excuse me. Okay, that's better. The reason why is because for the band gun to get power, they have to put a lot of rubber on there for it to get a really, really good powerful shot. And then the rubber, as it glides through the water, it's going to have a lot of resistance because it has to move the shaft, and then it also has to move itself through the water. So they have to really overpower those things. So on land, the band gun will shoot absolutely forever, but in the water, there's less power. So I think these are actually shoot better than, let's say, a 100mm band, right? Say two band, I don't know, like, you know, two band rubber gun or whatever. So I think this thing would be a little bit more powerful in the water, but out of the water it won't shoot quite as far as say a band gun, which is, to me, makes it even more safety. Again, I like the safety fact that you can just unscrew the cartridge and it's safe, right? So basically the way you would use something like this, like the Barricudda type or whatever, this one, the same thing, is that you load the shaft first. You load the shaft. This would be unloaded, right? You load the shaft, then you twist this in. Let's say if you're gonna get back on the boat, if you never took your shot, then you would just untwist it, put it in your pocket, whatever. It's unloaded. The shaft will still be in there, right? You just have to pull it out. It's not a drama, but the shaft will still be in there. But yeah, but it's no. Is it loaded? It's not loaded. There's no smashing it down into your chest. It's very, very simple. You just use the fingertips to load it and unload it. That's kind of the main advantage of these CO2 powered spear guns, is it doesn't take much to load them at all. And the one I like about this is you don't crack the cartridge until you're using it. So as you're aiming for your fish, you fire it, right? So say if you never take the shot, you never waste the cartridge, which I think is awesome, which is something that this one, you have to crack the cartridge before you go down there. So that means, say if you don't get the fish or whatever, or you don't see a fish, you're going down. You didn't crack the cartridge before you went down. You came up, it's still cracked. So a little slight thing on the trigger, it's going like crazy, right? And yeah, and this one is so safe because it doesn't, you don't have to worry about that, right? So these are basically two different types of CO2 guns. These are the two major types. There's been other ones. I've owned a bunch of different spear guns, but they've had yeah, they had, what was it? I think it was called the Pelletor. I owned that one, and that was basically very similar to this thing. And the mechanism, it's just right. It's been pressurized before you go down, and the shaft is holding it in, and it's being held back by this little thing, and then it goes like crazy. I really prefer these. I really do like this style. When people first see it, they don't understand it, so they're like, yeah, I don't know. But once you hunt with it, it's extremely accurate, extremely powerful, because everything is cylindrical. So, like a band gun, say if one band was a couple millimeters longer than the other one, the thing might shoot sideways, right? Or there could be a whole bunch of reasons. They always tell you for the band guns, you got to take a bunch of different shots before you actually go ahead and to take a fish, because what happens is the human body was such a great creature that our ability to aim things is so incredibly good that if you take a shot, say if you have a band gun and you shoot it and it misses, say into a certain direction, which there's no one to do, right? Then what ends up happening is your mind will compensate for that. When you get back out there again, your brain will just kind of like compensate, almost like a very good computer, and then you'll be able to put the shaft on the target. That's why they always say, well, the spear gun, if you guys watch it, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, how familiar you are with spearfishing, but they always say, like, you never change your gear, your spear gun, do anything to it the week before the competition or whatever, and that's because, like, you literally change the way it fires, where the shaft is going to go. But with these things, especially with this one, I really do like this one, that the shaft's always going to go straight, right? I mean, it's going to go straight, so it takes less time to practice. Yeah, and if you make a change, like say if you change between cartridges, so you use one of these big old 25 gram cartridges, or use a little bit smaller 12 gram cartridge, it's going to shoot straight. There might be a little more power if you use the bigger cartridges, but it's going to shoot straight. So that's kind of the advantages that I like over the band guns. And that's what you guys do one thing, and that is to please like, rate, and comment on the video, and let me know if you like this format. If you have any other questions you want to answer. If I get a bunch of the same questions, I'll probably do a video. If I do not get a bunch of the same questions, then I will just type it back and answer you guys. And yeah, hey, much love, much respect. We will see you in the next video.